Let's be honest, Star Wars video games nowadays are bland, generic, they're okay. Maybe that's a bit harsh, but compared to the golden era of Star Wars video games, like the Star Wars Battlefront years, these games don't really stand a chance. Many people will tell you that of all those old Star Wars video games, Star Wars Battlefront 2 is the best by far, and now I wholeheartedly agree. I think it's one of the best video games of all time, let alone Star Wars games. And since I was a young kid playing on my brother's old beat-up original Xbox, I loved Star Wars Battlefront 2 as much as the next person. But one game I don't hear enough of is Star Wars Republic Commando. Now, I will admit that Republic Commando doesn't have as much replayability as Battlefront 2. Besides the single player, there isn't much more of this game, but the campaign is one of the greatest campaigns for a game I've ever played. It's a little short, but super sweet. And the reason I love this game is not just because it's set in the Star Wars universe. I love it because it's more than just a Star Wars game. It's a war game, and it's incredibly realistic despite the fact that Star Wars is just generally not realistic. Republic Commando revolves around a squad of clone troopers who do special missions since they are elite troopers. This makes for many interesting scenarios, on top of a first-person shooter with just great mechanics and an intriguing game, but the things I love about this game are from things that don't sound that good connotatively. Republic Commando doesn't try to make you a badass action movie character like Call of Duty, and even goes beyond the realism of a Battlefield game. And they do this by making the game scary. This game is like a thriller, maybe even a little bit horror, I guess. If I were to compare it to any other game, it wouldn't really be a Star Wars game. It would probably be like Dead Space. Now it's not as scary or as horror-filled as Dead Space, but it's pretty close. This game doesn't make the Star Wars universe fun or makes war fun. It makes it harsh, depressing, real, and because it's so real, that's what makes it scary. The villains of this game, the droids and Trandoshans, I mean, look at them. They are not cartoony like the movies or the TV shows. They are gritty, they're cold, they're mean looking. Like they want to hurt you. And it's kind of scary. Another villain of this game are the super battle droids, who in any other game are kind of like the same height as a clone trooper and not that threatening because they're just metallic looking, but in the game they're frightening because they're like 10 feet tall and they have that opening of their chest with all that black like lights and stuff. It just looks inherently more scary than the normal way it looked in the movies. And this grittiness is also seen with our protagonists. The troopers in our squad, they don't look clean. They got paint all over their faces. They have these marks on their armors and nicks on their helmets. They're not heroic looking necessarily, they're just as gritty as the droids. This grittiness also goes on to the worlds. The worlds in the game are just scary. Take Kashyyyk for example. In the movie, Kashyyyk is this beautiful forest world, and in all other games it's colorful. But in Republic Commando, it's this jungle with no light. All of the colors are dark. The wood of all the buildings just looks dead and dull. It's just way more inherently scary. And this goes even further. If you stab an enemy, sometimes blood or oil will appear on your screen and you have to wipe it off. I don't think any other Star Wars game can say that, and most other first-person games don't have that as well. I'm gonna keep going. The voice actors of this game, they don't sound clean and heroic like Obi-Wan with that nice British accent.
Yes, sir. Keep your distance. Disarming trap.
They sound like they're actual, like, military soldiers. Then we get to the soundtrack, which is just the best part. Listen to this. And if you tell me that you do not get chills down your spine, then you're just crazy. Because this just terrifies me. Oh my god, listen to this. Like, that shit just hits you. Like, Jesus. The best mission of this game, by far, is the mission of the abandoned Republic ship. You receive a distress call, and the squad separates as they look through this abandoned ship to find out what happened. For the whole mission, you're on the edge of your seat because you can't communicate to the rest of your crew, and you're all alone with all these dead clone bodies and these little enemies just roaming around with no music on this empty ship. It's terrifying. I won't spoil what happens with the rest of the mission, but just know that it's scary. It isn't portraying war as fun, it's portraying it as brutal. I could go on and on about this game, but there's so much else to like about it. It's pretty innovative. You play as the squad commander of the squadron, and being that commander, you tell your squad where to shoot, who to shoot, where to shoot from, where to hide, perform activities like open this door while we cover you or whatever. It's also a bit of a survival game. It's very often to run out of ammo and grenades, and they're only available in certain spots. And you also have to manually heal yourself and allies. There is no regeneration here. There's also other little things like the fact that the HUD is a really creative idea with it being the helmet of the clone trooper you're in. It adds more to the first person perspective and just makes it even more realistic and, again, even more frightening when you're in those areas where you're kind of all alone. There's also the ability at any time to switch your weapon to a sniper or grenade launcher, which is also kind of pretty cool features. The fact that you don't have to carry multiple weapons, you just switch them at ease. Overall, this game is just innovative and different than a lot of other Star Wars games and just other first-person games in general, and that's why I love it so much. It takes a huge creative and bold leap into something completely different. They could have had all of it be pretty similar. You're a clone squad commander, blah blah blah, you're doing these crazy elite missions, blah blah blah, but the fact that they added on all that realism, that they added on all that horror of war, that grittiness, that depression, that coldness that I've been mentioning over and over, makes this game so much more than just a Star Wars game, and that's why I love it. And it's a shame that we never got the sequel, and that it's not as widely known as some other game. And I'm genuinely wishing that this new Star Wars game that we're getting later this year is maybe going to be a return to that realism. It seems like this new Star Wars game, judging by the trailer, is going to be a lot more realistic, and also going to be a single player game, so I'm very intrigued to see what happens with that.